Today we're going to be going through a hip flexor stretch as well as some contractions to build strength in our hip flexor and some of the surrounding muscles. This is a fantastic way to open up the front of your hip and to start to build control and strength in the positions that we want them. So for this exercise, you're probably going to want something soft to kneel on. I'm going to use a yoga block, but you could use a pillow or even just soft ground works fine if your knees aren't too sensitive. I'm also going to be using a dowel, but if you have a chair or just something to hang on to for a little bit of balance, that works just fine as well. So to start off with, for this exercise, I'm going to be getting into a lunge position. So I am kneeling down on whatever object you have that's soft, or once again, if you've got sturdy knees, you can just do it on the floor. That's totally fine. I'm going to try to have my knees underneath my hips, underneath my shoulders, all stacked one on top of another. From here, I'm going to bring my hands forward. So if you have a chair or something to hang on to for balance, this is where I would grab that and use that. I'm going to use my stick. In this position, in order to feel a stretch on the front of this hip, all I'm going to do is I'm going to think about rounding my back a little bit, tucking my tailbone underneath. So I'm squeezing some of my glutes and hamstrings to tuck my tailbone on the back. And honestly, for most people, just that tiny little tuck in this position, you're going to start to feel a pretty good stretch coming up the front side part of this hip. Most people are going to feel it right in the front of the hip here. Some people might feel it down into your quad a little bit as well. That is totally fine. So in this position for our stretch, we would just hang out here for up to 2 minutes. So a little bit longer than most people like to hold the stretch for. The goal is to not work super hard, but you do need to be a little active just to maintain a little bit of that tuck of your pelvis or that rounding of your back. After we've held our stretch for however long we feel like is appropriate, around 2 minutes for most people, we're going to make this a little bit more active. So now we're going to think about squeezing the muscles on either side of the joint to build strength and stability in this position so our brain knows this is stuff we want to keep. Contraction number 1, I'm going to think about not moving, but I'm going to think about driving this bottom knee forward. And you can think about almost pulling your front heel backwards. So if my legs were a pair of scissors, I'd be closing them together. When you do that, you should feel muscles on the front side part of your pelvis working quite hard eventually, once you build up to a nice hard contraction. And then I would hold that contraction for 30 seconds. After that 30 seconds is up, keep your back flat. Do not use your back muscles to do this. But now we're going to think about driving that leg backwards. So now I'm squeezing my butt and thinking about sliding my knee backwards on the ground. So I feel all of that contraction here. Lots of people like to cheat and try to get it from their back. Do not let your back arch, keep it rounded. You should feel lots of squeeze here, another 30 seconds in that position. Common mistakes people make in this position, or just other ways people tend to try to stretch their hip flexors, is they will lean really far forward into this really arched position, and you will feel lots of stretch on the front side here, but you're also getting lots of arching through your back and lots of force going through your back and core. When we're more stacked and really focusing on that tilt, it just directs that force more specifically into the front of your hip, more specifically into your hip flexors, and this is a much more powerful position to be into than this really arched slack position.